Happy Thursday.
It's Taco Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the True North Consulting. As you know, every Thursday we try to... What? Taco Thursday?
He's making fun of my shirt because I don't eat tacos on a Tuesday.
Right, so it's Taco Thursday.
Taco Thursday.
Oh my God.
So we have an incredibly special guest with us tonight. It's Kate Cornelius, who is a bookkeeper and accountant. So if you're a business owner, small, medium, or large, and you have some questions about bookkeeping and the importance of, or if you're not sure of the importance of, the next 20 or so minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it's going to be, is going to be filled with information that's going to make your business and your life better. So please welcome Kate Cornelius.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So as mentioned, I am a bookkeeper for busy creatives within the virtual space, and I really thrive on being the sidekick for business owners. Massive, massive role to be in a supportive role versus an in-your-face role, and it's a lot of fun to work through.
So tell us the story about how you became a bookkeeper. Was that something you did before, or you found your talent there, or what happened there?
Right. So my journey with bookkeeping started when I was 14. I had my first accounting class in high school, and I went home and I was like, Mom, I got this awesome class. I'm going to go and be an accountant. And she was like, that's a lot of numbers. Are you sure? And so when I graduated, I moved to San Diego, and I went to the local department at school, and I talked to the counselor, and I said, I'm going to be a business major with an emphasis in finance. And she was like, those for people who don't know what they want to do. And I was like, man, all these people who know more than me, clearly, because I'm a kid, telling me I shouldn't do it. So I pivoted and I went into sports medicine. And I always kept coming back to applying for accounting jobs. Bookkeeping tends to be very entry level, and so it's not hard to get in unless you are Kate. And I ended up almost 3 years ago now going into business with my husband. We opened a retail shop, and I was back-end process. I got to finally do everything that everyone told me I couldn't, and I started giving my services away for free. I know. For free. I did for friends and family and close business owners that we knew. And then I finally launched my accounting firm a little over a year ago now, at the end of 2019.
What a crazy story. I don't think we talked about the fact that we're from San Diego too before this. So that's funny, one. And two, that is hilarious because I have a BSBA in finance too. So it's hilarious that somebody told you that's what you do when you can't.
Yeah, that was soul crushing, to hear that you wanted to go in and a counselor, and I don't know, maybe I caught the counselor on a bad day or something, but maybe it was like a lot of business majors that day. I don't know. But to hear that, and I was like, man, all these people know so much more. Maybe I shouldn't be in finance. But I ended up back here anyway, and I love it, and it's fun. I know like a lot of people don't think that about finance, but for someone who's practical, it's like a dream job.
It's a funny thing about money and numbers and spreadsheets and calculations is you just have to appreciate and understand it, right?
Right.
Well, I was the high school athlete, and then I went to college as an accounting major.
Yeah.
People looked at me and went, really? You, an accounting major? Yeah. Obviously, that's not what I finished my career as, but if you have a mind for it and a brain for it, it makes sense.
It does, yeah.
So to me, science, not a chance. You can put whatever chart at me, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I have no appreciation for it. Right. Math of various kinds makes sense.
Yeah.
Like history and stories and geography and factual stuff. And some of that I do, but so it's impressive that,
right.
I guess you were able to latch on to, number one, what you were passionate about and what you really enjoyed doing, and that you're good at, that makes sense to you. So
I know. How rare is that?
that
You
never-
know, and now being afforded that opportunity to come in and be like, yeah, I waited and I finally got here and now I'm just taking names, you know?
well, now you're kicking it.
Yeah.
Funny too, because bookkeeping is a job that's kind of like social media marketing, like where people either love it or hate it. And it's normally one of the first or second things that people are like, yeah, I'm not doing that until I'm broke again. Like, who wants to do bookkeeping? You know, it's like the
Right.
first job people want to get rid of, because people that aren't detail oriented do not want to sit there and categorize the stuff. They don't want to pay attention to it.
Oh, yeah.
People don't really want to know how much money they have or don't have.
But arguably the most important one.
Oh, for sure. Right after marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's one of the most common complaints that we get is, you know, I got QuickBooks or I got Wave or whatever software they got. And I put my information in and then I looked at it and it was either super daunting or I tried to get into it and everything just started to look the same. You know, it's one of the easiest things that you could outsource very early on. And also the most important, because if you don't know the health of your business, where you stand, not just a number on your bank account, but where you stand physically within any specific period of time, you have no idea how to get to the next process or to the next step, you know?
When people don't know what they do with their money, right? They're like, oh yeah, I paid for that. And then they're like, wait, you know, I spent $2,000 on that. I thought I spent $300, right? They don't pay attention.
Well, you
Right.
hear entrepreneurs all the time. Somebody asks them a question. Maybe it's a coach, maybe it's the bank. They're going for a loan. Well, how much did you make last year?
Right.
You know, it was about this much. Well,
Right.
About that much, or was it enough? So what were your expenses last year? Well, you know, maybe it was somewhere around. So
Yeah, I pay X amount for rent or X in utilities. Hey, figure that out for me, you know, instead of having that concrete answer. And it's not to say that you have to have the number down to the penny,
no.
but you know, if you could come up with a nice round number and you're pretty spot on, you're leaps and bounds ahead of the majority of business owners.
Or at least know what app it's in, right? So you can go pull it up and run a
Yeah, and how to find it. Yeah,
ask you for one.
right.
So we know that you work with a lot of startups. So I guess what's the biggest advice you have between a startup and an existing business that maybe has a mess that they're coming to you and saying, Kate, I got a mess. I don't know where to start, versus, hey, Kate, I'm getting ready to start my business.
Right. So the number one thing I would say, and yes, I do work a lot with new business owners. There's something so sincere about their passion to start a business and wanting to do it properly. So if we can catch somebody very early on within the journey, we can say, look, you know, one, within the financial realm, I'm obligated to operate under compliance, which means I want you to be compliant because I don't want to be audited, just like you don't want to be audited, right? So, you know, we're going to set you up properly. We're going to get some sort of accounting software. You don't have to be charged a massive amount to start getting things moving, but we do want to make sure that we can come in and find expenses to lower your tax liability. We want to be sure that things are classed appropriately. We want to be sure that you have a legal entity so that your assets are protected, which means if we're ever sued, you and I, because now we're in a partnership, my work becomes liable under that. I'm signing my name to authenticity, and I don't want to be stuck. I'm good at what I do.
All your other clients.
Yeah. And so we always say we're going to set you up very early on. We're going to get you in a good software. I operate out of QuickBooks. I have an affiliate program so my clients can get 50% off of their subscription.
Wow.
And then we go in and we class things appropriately. And so we can come and say, hey, you know, it's been 3 months since you started your business, and I see you have a lot of personal expenses. You know, we should probably cut that back a little bit. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business, but you don't want to break that corporate veil. Or, hey, This is a reminder, it's time for you to pay your sales tax, or it's time for you to pay your estimated quarterly payment. And that way the business owner has the least amount of stress possible, because finances are scary. It's hard as a business owner and even in personal life to sit and really look into what you spend or don't spend and try to navigate that and get yourself into a better position. So I don't want business owners to be scared of finance. I don't want them to make rookie mistakes, which all of us do at some point. But if we can avoid it, let's do that. And the one way to avoid that is to outsource bookkeeping very, very early.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I was told that ours is, but your services would be a tax deduction, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So any legal or professional service, 100% write-off. 100%.
Yeah, so people start to think, well, I can't really afford to pay someone to do it. Well, that may be true. You've got a startup, you've got a business that's got expenses, but the reality is you can afford it because you can write that off and it's going to offset your overall tax liability. And so
absolutely,
you almost can't not afford it.
Whatever that saying is, you can't not afford it.
You can't not afford it.
Right.
Yeah, I hear that all the time from business owners that, hey, I really need to get my website up first, or I really need to hire a coach, or, I need to work on my branding and go get pictures done. And yes, those things are important within business to really form that aesthetic and your brand. But if you don't know where your money's going, how are you sure you're going to be able to pay for a photographer or pay that monthly coach fee, and more than that, you want to have a business that's profitable and you're working for that. Why do you not want to keep the majority of what you're making? So that's what we go in and we do. I look through every transaction with zero judgment. I'm not here to judge anyone on how you spend or where you put it or what it comes in as. I want to be sure that we lower your tax liability as low as possible. So one, you're not paying as much in taxes. And two, you're saving as much as you possibly can that you worked for.
Yeah, I think that's what most people don't really understand. While it's an investment, yes, it's financial and you have to spend some money to hire someone like yourself. The reality is you're saving them more,
right,
probably than what they're spending on you. And if they can understand that and realize that, number one, they're protected legally, financially, and they have someone in their corner that just knows things better than what they do.
Right.
What a better place to be. That's fantastic.
Right. And so on the flip side of that, when you're an existing business owner and saying, like the example I gave before, where you downloaded some software, you put your transactions in, and now everything starts to look the same, you're putting that on the back burner. So then what happens is you get towards the end of the year and we're middle of November. By next week, in the blink of an eye, we're going to be getting ready for New Year's. And right after that is taxes, literally. And so if a business owner comes and they say, oh man, I set up this software and I really haven't done much. Well, then they're coming to me in a crunch situation and your emergency is not my emergency. And therefore they end up getting charged a massive lump sum when they could have avoided that by getting it very early on, either at the start of their business or early on at the start of the year. I don't like seeing entrepreneurs or anybody really struggle. There's just no sense in it. When a solution has been presented to somebody, they get to make that choice. And yes, that is what it comes down to. But I want everyone to succeed. And I find that a lot of business owners don't understand that, one, bookkeeping is extremely affordable. I mean, you're not paying a CPA. You're not paying an enrolled agent, which is tax time. And then you get to find out the health of your business, which allows you to scale and make more money. At
the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You said two things. First of all, I love that you said your emergency does not become my emergency. A saying that I've loved for years is your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my behalf. So
right.
You didn't do that. But secondly, I don't know that we can emphasize enough how important what you do is to any business. And I think there's probably going to be people watching at some point. They go, well, it doesn't really apply to my business. Well, it does. If you have a business, it applies. And it doesn't mean it's going to be expensive. And quite frankly, I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there are people that come to you and say, Kate, I haven't touched my books all year long. I feel like I have a mess. I feel like I'm about to be in trouble. Can you fix it? And I would think there are times when you look at it and just go, you know what? You're okay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I would think the honesty and integrity would jump in. So it wouldn't hurt to have a free consult call, right?
Yep. So I offer, specifically for that reason, I offer free consultation, not just to speak with business owners and find out where they're struggling or maybe why they haven't kept up with their books, but to also get into a file if they have one and just check and see where they're at. You know, if they've uploaded all of their transactions and it's like 2 years worth, I'm sorry, that's not going to be doable like in the time you're looking for. But if we had gotten this a year and a half ago, yeah, definitely could have done that at a reasonable price. But now your emergency is not my emergency and I'm going to do what needs to be done, you know. That's a very true statement that I think a lot of people have strayed from. And it really does play into the practicality of bookkeeping in general.
Yeah, you know, I look at bookkeeping in many tasks in life, right? If you have a good plan and you do a little bit each day,
right,
it doesn't become a daunting task.
Right.
Whether it's a home chore like laundry, or you do the dishes every night instead of waiting for 4 days, or doing your quick bookkeeping for those that want to do it themselves. And we get that there are people that like to do that.
Right.
And categorize and organize it if you have the knowledge and skill set. If you do it once a day and there's 2 things to look at,
right,
versus waiting a month, or as you mentioned, 1.5 years or 2 years.
Yeah, there are people who do that.
Realtors are notorious for waiting till the end of the year.
Right. And that comes down to a time crunch. I mean, I have real estate clients and it's just a matter of, hey, we're constantly going, running and doing, and I don't like bookkeeping. You know, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at the money that I get, but I don't want to have to organize that and find my own deductions. So I totally understand that.
So you miss so many deductions too, right? If you're not in it all the time, you don't know what you can deduct.
Right. So there are a lot of those. There's actually a statistic that I speak to a lot of clients on. Sorry, my computer's bugging out. I speak to them, and the statistic is that on average, when you outsource to a bookkeeper, you save around roughly $5,000 in missed deductions every year that you just happen to overlook, or maybe you didn't know you could expense. Like, I'm sure you guys know you can expense home office, right? The physical space that you're in. But if you're within your house, you can also deduct Wi-Fi, electricity, water, cable, your phones, your home insurance, the premium on your home insurance. You guys, like, there's so much that comes into it, and they're just little things. And we all know that if we save a penny every day, at the end of the year, we have $3.65. You know what I mean? Like, that adds up. And when we're sitting here and you guys miss those deductions, $5,000 is a huge amount for a small business owner.
Huge.
That's business code.
That's the difference between being a profitable business,
right,
and a profit, or I guess a business in loss. I mean, that's a huge difference.
And when you look at the statistic of 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, if you thought about $5,000, that really is the difference between winning and losing, almost, you know,
or bankruptcy.
So what's the best way, because I think you offer an incredible service and an incredible value, what is the best way for our people to get a hold of you? Obviously we can drop a link in the down below, but and kind of give them a quick rundown of what you have to offer, how they can get a hold of you, so that whenever they see the comments, they know what to do.
Right. So the easiest way to get in touch with me is you can either send a PM. I'm always available. Or you can head over to my business page on Facebook, which is at Arrowhead Books. I answer both very quickly, literally always looking to advise clients and answer any questions they have, which is a pretty consistent gig because people always have questions, right?
Yeah.
I offer a multitude of services, from budgeting to business plans. I have a DIY package for the entrepreneur who enjoys doing the bookkeeping, but maybe is unsure of if they miss things or not. That's a quarterly package, so they don't have to feel run down with, I'm constantly talking to them every month, like regular clients. And then I offer multiple tiered packages when it comes to monthly services. And I specifically have one dedicated to new business owners. It's called a Grow With You package. And basically what it covers is the classification and entry of all your transactions, purchasing your software or allowing you to expense that off. And then you get monthly calls where we go over and review your monthly statements, and you don't have to pay for any back work, which
Well, that
is
sounds like a deal.
Right?
right. So that's amazing. And I do, yeah, so I do all of that for $100 because, one, I think a new business owner needs to feel secure within their business. And if we can offer them that solution very, very early on, where they know that they're not going to be charged a massive amount, because a lot of people think we're CPAs. I am not a licensed accountant, which is a certified accountant, CPA that everyone is pretty used to. But I'm more like the nurse to a doctor. So I get to go in and do all of these daily tasks and keep you compliant, and do so with a smile. Plus, I get to go and get all the information from a CPA, so you're not charged for it. It's already included in your $100 a month. So I think that's a really great deal for new business owners because I want them to feel secure. They need to know that their business has the potential to be profitable, and then know what that looks like.
I love it. That's a good deal.
That's a good deal. Well, we certainly appreciate what you have to offer. I mean, for a startup in particular, to have the opportunity to take one less thing off their plate,
Right.
or one less thing on their plate, I should say, and just realize that that part's handled for an amazing price. Well, kudos to you. We'll make sure we, one of us or all of us, will drop your link information down below. And
sorry, we have this dog walking around. So sorry, we keep we're like,
no, you're fine. I just had to kick my dog out too.
Yeah, she's wandering.
It was awesome to talk to you. Maybe next time we can do another one and talk about more complicated.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'd like to dig into the nuts and bolts of it. That would be great for
that's
everybody,
right.
Honestly.
We absolutely can. I love the nuts and bolts. That's the best part about this job.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, hey, it was great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully our audience will have some questions for you. Just drop them below, and if we can be of any further assistance, let us know.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Otherwise, this was Kate with Arrow Bookkeeping. She's on Facebook, and you can DM her on Facebook or send her an email or whatever. We'll drop her information. But otherwise, happy Thursday, and see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.